guys, how's it going? It's Al. DraftKings week 4, just a couple days away. We are going to talk here for the next 45 minutes or an hour. Producer Rosie cuts it down. She cuts out all the dead air, so it ends up being a little shorter on YouTube. But I'm going to take questions from the Twitch chat. They're going to ask me lineup questions about cash games, about tournaments, about combinations, anything that they want for strategy, bankroll, anything. For the next 45 minutes to an hour, I'm going to answer them as best I can, like we do here every single Friday on the show. Also, by the time this show hits YouTube, the cheat sheet is going to be out for week 4 on DraftKings in the community Discord. 3-step process. Step number 1, go to smizzle.tv/join and become a channel member here on YouTube. It is $5 a month. Step 2, go to smizzle.tv/discord. Become a member of the Discord community. That is the easiest way to get there. That is where it's going to be posted. Step 3, you need to link your Discord to the account that you subbed with on Twitch or became a channel member on YouTube. There is a folder called instructions, #instructions. There's also a nice little video if you're trying to connect on mobile or on desktop. That's the 3-step process. It's very straightforward and simple. The cheat sheet will be there in the VIP rooms. You can get access to our entire community, the Discord being almost 10,000 members strong. So make sure you get in there and get the cheat sheet for this week. Other than that, appreciate you guys being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I see you. I see there's so many of you. There's so many who are here watching but not subscribing. So click the subscribe button. I'm here all the time. I don't want you to miss anything. Make sure you ring the notifications bell. And let's go!
He's a legend.
The Smiz Gang Listener League is posted for week 4. It is gonna fill. It's gonna fill really early because it's almost like 2,500 people out of the 4,000 that enter. It's $10 to enter. It is 3 max, $40,000, no rake. The best tournament that exists on DraftKings, but it does not exist in the lobby. You cannot find this on DraftKings because of the no rake thing. So you got to go to smizzle.tv/links. That will take you to the link tree, which will have the link to the Listener League, as well as my Instagram, the Discord, fantasy football channel, where we're going to shout out the winners for the Listener League every single Monday on the weekly recap video, where I go over everything that I got right and wrong for the last, from the cheat sheet, look over my lineups, everything else. So make sure that you get into the Listener League before it fills and take advantage of this no rake tournament. Let's bring in the chat. Appreciate all the subs and the resubs, everything else. You guys are awesome. If Palmer and Keenan Allen are so highly owned, why is Justin Herbert 4% owned? Because he's expensive, and because not everybody stacks, and because there's a lot of quarterbacks in play. I think that Herbert probably ends around 8 or 9. It's just the way that it's going to be. If Jimmy G does not play, do I still think Adams gets there as a bring back for the Chargers? So a lot of things are dependent this week on Jimmy Garoppolo, right? It's just the way that it is. Right now, limited participant on Thursday's practice. Monitor the Friday practice report. You might not know until Saturday night. We'll find out with the Shefty news dump, unless we find out earlier. The Shefty news dump, for those of you who don't know, right around 11 p.m. to midnight, Adam Schefter's intern tweets out a bunch of things for him that, like, he's heard from this guy is expected to play. This guy is listed as this, but he's not going to play. This guy, he goes through all the different scenarios and injury reports before the morning. That's end of day on Saturday. And if he's out, if Jimmy G is out, don't play Jimmy G. Also, we're going to have to downgrade everything else in that offense because it's not going to run as smoothly with either of their backup quarterbacks, whether it's Hoyer or it's the other kid. I think it's going to be Hoyer personally. They can get there a little bit, but like it's going to bring the total down. Quarterbacks are extremely important when it comes to Vegas totals. Vegas totals and team totals are very important when it comes to fantasy success because they do a good job with those totals more often than they don't. And so it's a good guide, at least, to say the least. Quarterbacks really never make it back from concussion protocol? No, that's not true. Every concussion is graded the same way. It's not graded one way for one position or a different way for another position. How do Sims play a role in my lineup building? So I'm tinkering with them. They're not the be all end all. I use them as a tool and a guide, just like I use everything else as a tool or a guide. I don't rest on any one thing. It's the whole don't bow at the altar of just one statistic sort of thing. So like I'm not going to sit there and build a bunch of lineups with the lineup optimizer and then run it through the Sims and say, okay, well these are all the ones that have the highest ROI based on the Sims, and these have the highest cash rate, and then you say, I'm going to isolate, I'm just going to play those in 150. It's a tool that I use to see what the machine thinks, because my thinking and my philosophy that I've gone over in the How to Win on DraftKings playlist here on YouTube is very It's similar to what sims are trying to do. They just do it way more efficiently and better than I ever could because it's a computer and I'm not. But the way you should be thinking is not just about the one player, right? Well, the philosophy that some people have. This player is going to be 25%, so I cannot play him. That's not true. You can definitely play chalk players, 100%. You just have to do something else around that player to make that lineup work. And so what the sims do is kind of what we do. It's not just about the projection, right? Just play the best plays, forehead. It's not just about the percentage that the player is going to be owned in tournaments. It's not even about the combination that percentage is going to be owned in tournaments when you're talking about a stack or a double stack. It's about also the probability on that bell curve. And I know that chat's going to get warmed up here because they love it when I do the MS Paint bell curve. What probability of the time, what probability is there of your player having a top 10 percentile game on their, on that bell curve, where they're going to have a quarterback specifically going to have a 25 plus or 30 plus point fantasy day, right? And if that probability is like 12%, but that play, that double stack that you're going to play is going to be held by 3%, then it's very easy to overweight the field and be on the right side of the math. You're never going to win every week. You're never going to win every year. You're never going to win every tournament that you enter, but we try to stack probabilities in our way. And I think that that's what the sims do, is tries to help me identify those things better than I could do by myself. If Richardson plays, should we fade Moss a bit in lineups? Yeah. So Richardson being back, I still like Moss because volume over everything, right? That's always going to be the case when it comes to your running backs, right? If a guy's going to get 25 opportunities a week, we want that guy, and that's basically all that there is. But A-Rich is certainly going to take away a little bit, at least a little bit, of his touchdown ceiling for Moss specifically, just because he can run the football in, because he is a weapon around the goal line, where Minshew is never going to steal. Like, if Minshew started 17 games, he might have 1 or 2 rushing touchdowns on the season. That's just probably the way that it goes. Now, Richardson might throw it a ton. He did in week 1 where he threw it 37 times. I'd love to see that. If he is being treated kind of like a CJ Stroud, where they're going to let him throw it over 30 to 35 times a week, and he's going to run it 6 to 10 times a game, which is 10 attempts in week 1, didn't run very efficiently. Week 2, he ran way more efficiently, got concussed halfway through the second quarter, but already had 3 for 35 and 2 touchdowns. Like, the upside's off the charts, and I think that I might extend him to being able to be double stacked if he throws it 35 times, because that's really the key. I want to single stack quarterbacks when, like Fields, who's really only going to throw it most weeks, or last year, let's say, 25 or less times a game. Sounds like AR should be a core. I think that he's the cash game quarterback. I really do. I think that he is your cash game quarterback, unless you say, okay, I'm going to get really spicy and go super cheap, because it's him or Fields, in my opinion, based on how much they run. And I can understand you not wanting to trust Justin Fields right now as a cash game quarterback with the gap between his floor and his ceiling, but we do have a much softer landing spot that people don't really want to admit, that Tampa Bay is an extremely good defense right now, and Kansas City is a better defense than we want them to be right now. We don't want them to be a good defense. We want them to be the bad defense that they used to be, so that they get into a whole bunch of shootouts, right? Nobody could stop the Chiefs offense, and Chiefs offense or defense couldn't stop anybody's offense. And so you got like 35 to 28 games. That's great for us in daily fantasy. We're not getting that now. So we have a situation where now he's playing a defense that just got throttled for 70. Not predicting 70 points for Justin Fields or the Bears this week, but I think that A-Rich is your cash game quarterback. I know that I've seen in a couple of projections that, like, the Bears defense is bad enough that Russ Wilson is kind of popping as a cash game quarterback. I get that at 5,800. If you wanted to come down and go to Stafford at 5,700 against Indy, who's been very bad, sure. I don't know that either of them provide the combination floor and ceiling that a running quarterback. So anytime that there is a running quarterback on the board for me, I'm probably going to lean towards that guy as my cash game quarterback. But there's not just one way to go. But anytime I have access to a rushing quarterback, I want to take that guy. Who do we like as a pivot for Moss? There's so many running backs this week. There's so many. I think somebody said in Discord this morning, it's like, I don't know who. It's like, I'm just going to play Christian McCaffrey because, there's no running backs this week. I was like, what? There's so many. Absolutely so many running backs this week. Yes, CMC is amazing, right? CMC is amazing. He's playing all of the snaps. All the worry and trepidation about his usage last year once he went to the 49ers, that they didn't use him like they were using him in Carolina, which was the really valuable 25 opportunities with like 18 carries and 7+ targets every single game. He's not getting that and in terms of the targets, but you've exchanged that for him now being on a team that scores 28 points a game, and he's going to have way more red zone opportunities, way more touchdown upside, still getting used in the passing game. They just haven't been playing from behind. 30-12, 30-23, and 30-7. So you're not going to get involved in games where 2-minute drill is a thing, where you're going to be playing from a negative game script, where you're going to have to pass the ball and your running back's going to get some more dump downs and things like that. So we haven't even seen peak Christian McCaffrey yet, but he does have a touchdown in all 3 games, which is more than making up for the lack of floor usage with his targets. I think that you can definitely fit him into a cash game lineup, but looking at all of the other running backs that are out there, let's start at like 6,500, okay? There's so many. Nobody's going to play Brother Raheem, right? Nobody's playing him. He's getting good enough usage. They're clearly using him in the passing game. Achane has come on the scene, and nobody's going to play Achane either because they're on the road at Buffalo, and nobody can make a decision of what's going on. People don't want to play James Cook because he is splitting inside, let's say, I want to say red zone, but also inside the 10 snaps. Currently, they're inside the 10 snaps. Don't quote me on this, but I checked it on PFF earlier. It's close. Like, I'm not even making a joke this time. I think that it's 6, 5, and 4 in terms of inside the 10-yard line snaps for the Buffalo Bills running backs. So the narrative that, oh, all of those snaps close to the goal line are going to Latavius Murray or Harris, yes and no. They're splitting. It's 1/3 each right now. The only time Cook comes off the field is in jumbo. So if they've got 2-3 tight ends on the field around the goal line, right, or they've got 6 offensive linemen and 2 tight ends, that's the formation that's going to be Latavius Murray or Damian Harris. But if they're in like the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 yard line, yeah, James Cook has a good chance to be in there. It's just the jumbo snaps inside the 10 that he's not playing. And they don't go full jumbo all the time. Ramondre at 6,200, I don't think he's cash game. Kamara, I don't think he's cash game right now because first game back and Tampa Bay is a better defense. I think that Kyren Williams is going to be probably the standard cash game running back here this week at 6,000. I think that Zach Moss is also viable at 6,000, but less so than Kyren Williams because of the Anthony. And I'm not going to play Richardson and Moss in the same lineup because they steal from one another. Connor against San Fran, no. Madison going up against Carolina is a yes for me. I'm getting so many guys that are worried. Aren't you worried about Cam Akers? Aren't you worried about Cam Akers? Like, running backs don't get 95% of the snaps anymore. If you have a running back who gets 70 to 75% of the snaps, then like that's a really high volume running back. So am I worried that Cam Akers is going to get some attempts? No, because that's the reality at running back in the NFL. No running backs in the NFL, for the most part, get 95% of or plus of the snaps. Right now, the guys that are kind of getting that is like Kyren Williams and Christian McCaffrey. So like, sure, play them. Moss is getting a lot of snaps right now at running back. Tony Pollard, just for the sake of this argument, but I'm not saying he's cash game viable. Like you could, but like I don't think it's necessary. I think that you could spend up for this amount of money on wide receivers. Look at this volume. 26 opportunities, 33 opportunities. This game he stopped playing in the third quarter. People are fuming every single Cowboys game that Rico Dowdle is on the field or Deuce is on the field. Look how many opportunities Tony Pollard's getting at 7,800. And then look at how many opportunities is Alex Madison getting. Tough defense, game they were losing. Tough defense that nobody's giving credit to in Tampa Bay. They played a bad defense in the Chargers. 27 opportunities, 17.5 fantasy points with no touchdowns and no bonus. Now he gets another defense that we want to stream running backs against, and the aren't you worried about bros are out in force in my replies on YouTube. It might bite me in the butt. maybe Cam Akers suddenly just gets 25 touches and Madison gets like 8, but I doubt it. Miles Sanders is present for Friday's practice, does not have a helmet. This is alarming because Miles Sanders is somebody who I really, really like this week. He is getting peppered with targets. They project to play from behind, which means he is going to continually get peppered with targets if he's on the field. Less excited about playing Chuba in the case that Miles Sanders is out, but I do think that Miles Sanders is cash game viable and certainly somebody that you should consider in tournaments as a bring back play. If everybody's going to be on the wide receiver, it's just he's on pace with 20 targets through 3 weeks. He's on pace to break the target record for running backs right now, like 121 targets or some ridiculous amount like that. Achan here at 5,700 if you want to go that route. DeAndre Swift, home favored, love it. Absolutely love it. He looks downright spry. The only problem with DeAndre Swift at 50, like I said, there's a lot of running backs this week. Only problem with DeAndre Swift is the tush push. That's it. That's the problem. Is that I don't get points when he puts his hands on Hurts' butt and shoves him into the end zone. I'd rather Jalen just hand him the ball and then Swift gets a touchdown. But he is doing what running backs on Philly do, which is run behind a tremendous offensive line that is going to be versus light boxes because of the presence of A.J. Brown on one side and Devontae Smith on the other, and he is feasting. So this performance the last 2 weeks is absolutely fantastic, and I would assume that he is going to continue to feast moving forward. Rachaad White, like him in tournaments this week. There's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of running backs. Ford, not really all that interested, but I get it. If you like the role, if you don't think that Hunt is going to be the guy, we know that he's on the field more than enough. He's only 5,400. I ain't talking about you. Gus Edwards, probably not. That defense is too feisty. Damian Pierce at 5,100 against Pittsburgh and at home. The offense is flying. Najee Harris, nobody's going to want to play him, but 20 opportunities, and now he gets against Las Vegas, and now he gets Houston, a very leaky defense against running backs. So like I said, there's a lot of running backs. Is the cheat sheet out yet for week 4? No. It'll be out when this is on YouTube, but I put it out on Discord right after we do this. Is Downs or Pittman better with Richardson? I like both of them. I think they're both good. Favorite secondary stack this week? Haven't decided yet. I don't start making lineups. Yeah, Frost, we need polls. Zeke revenge games. There's a few revenge games. You got a Zeke revenge game. You got the Thielen revenge game. There's Narrative Street is living it up this week. Jalen Warren looking good this week. Jalen Warren, it's another situation where the backup running back looks better than the starting running back, but he's not getting the snaps and touches that the starting running back is getting. So Jalen Warren at 5,000 looks better. Like, he passes the eye test. He's clearly the passing down back. He's the 2-minute drill. He's the third down guy. But you're drafting J.D. McKissick, right? You're getting less than 10 carries. You're getting 4 or 5 targets. Now, if Jalen Warren steps into a larger role with this team, if they just elevate him above Harris, then I love Jalen Warren because he profiles to be much better. The problem is they're not going to do that. And they're just going to keep them in their roles because that's how football coaches do things. Do we still start Thielen if Bryce is back? I don't have a problem with it. He's too cheap. You know, it's not like he didn't do well with Bryce Young under center. He got a ton of volume. You want to play Harris, but you're hesitant? You're a single entry guy. I mean, I'm a single entry guy too. I had this whole conversation with my older son in the car the other day. So he's a cross country runner and he has doubts, as any athlete has doubts. And right now he's a middle schooler, so they run 2 miles. And he knows that his best races he can run like a 6-minute mile, but he doesn't do it in races because he can get out there and run that first mile in 6 minutes, but he finished it in 6:30 or 6:40 because he's afraid that he might not have enough to run the second mile. And like, you have to get out of your comfort zone and you have to do the thing that you're supposed to do because that fear goes away. The feeling of doing well, it totally outweighs the feeling when you fail. It's like a 10x. As bad as you feel when you strike out, you feel 10 times happier when you hit a home run. as uncomfortable as I was with my lineups last week, and anybody who was in Discord last Saturday night, know that I like rage quit making lineups on Saturday night. So I'm done. I hate my lineups. This sucks, right? I hate everything. I hate my lineups. Today sucks. And like, the week 3 sucks. And then I won a whole lot of money in week 3. And the reason I didn't like my lineups is because I had 1 or 2 spots that I was not comfortable with. So like, it's okay to get out of your comfort zone and play something that is the right play, but may not make sense to you, to your brain, right? You're like, this is the right play. This is based on the percentages, the probabilities, the projections is the right play. But I don't think I can bring myself to do it. Get over that. And just make the right plays that you have to make. So Fields doubles against the Broncos. Damn it. Who's the single entry QB this week? I don't know. Like I said, I don't start making my lineups until Friday night. Then I really dig in again on Saturday night. I have no idea what I'm going to do this week, which is why I spend most of this show every week talking more about cash game build, because I think that's where you start, and then you start working outward in concentric circles. It's why I really like doing the Top Stacks video every Thursday, because on Top Stacks, I can identify these are the value stacks. And there's a lot of people in the replies of no mention of Buffalo and Miami in Top Stacks video. What about Philly? How come they're not? I can't list off 24 stacks in a video, guys. I try to isolate it to the ones that I think are probably the best values across the board. This guy didn't talk about my favorite laundry. Like, y'all know how I feel about Bill stacks. Stack Josh Allen 150 times. You're going to win the Millionaire Maker at some point during the year. Every week, 150 Bill stacks. You're good. 10K random selected is changing every day. Underdog lineup with that guy. Oh, yeah. Are there different ones? Are they giving away like 100K for every one of those, or is it just 10? Yeah, chat. Make sure you vote on the poll. I saw the first guy. I saw the quarterback. Derrick Henry, question mark? They change it like every 4 hours? Right, but my question is, does everybody who does one get entered? Is it just 10 winners, or are there going to be like 60 winners? Whatever it is. I mean, while we're talking about Underdog, why don't we go see who the 100K player is for us, and we'll build a pick'em card right now. Let's do that. So they've upped the ante on Underdog Fantasy. It was $100, and I was always like, hey, if you haven't claimed your free $100, it's $500 now until October the 4th. So if you have not claimed your free $500 on Underdog Fantasy, what are you doing? Use promo code ALSMIZZLE, ALSMIZZLE. You get up to $500 in a free deposit bonus on your first deposit to the site that you can use for any of this stuff. Got a boosted payout for Brianna. You got Dameon Pierce over under 63 total yards. All right, fine. I'll go higher than 63 total yards. I'm not confident about that one, though. I don't want to play this London game. NFL, please. Don't want to play. Oh, look, I downsized all of them. Let's just do that. No, I can't. I already did that. Let's go. Since everybody said I did not talk about Philly and Buffalo on Top Stacks, let's do one with that one. 71 rush receiving yards for Mostert, 6.5 receptions for Reek, 4.5 here. Josh Allen. Let's do a Josh Allen. Okay, there. Josh Allen and Steph Diggs and Dalton Kincaid. God, 2.5 receptions. There. We're going to do that one. We're going to do this for $50. Boom. 4 correct pays $500. And then we get entered. I've hit my entry limit and cannot put more than 20. Oh, this one's a max 20. That's why. 20. This one's just a max 20 because of the boosted thing, I think. All right. Submit. Boom. Confirm. Bang. There it is. Share of 100K. I want to get it. I want my $100,000. We're going with a Bills double stack and Dameon Pierce. Make sure you take advantage of it. Get after it. Sadly, I'm already an Underdog customer. Yep. It just keeps getting better. You don't think you like that over for Pierce? I mean, I don't. You guys see how much time and effort I put into my over-unders on Underdog. I just bet overs because I'm an idiot. Fish play. Yes, that's the point. I'm not here grinding over-unders. But, like, you could. If you want to really find out where the best ones are, you know, there's a video out on the Al Smizzle Fantasy Football channel where Chris K from Unabated Sports went through and looked at a whole bunch of totals and prize picks and pick'ems for Underdog Fantasy for college football, and you could do the exact same thing using all the tools that they have over at Unabated Sports if that's the way that you want to play. You can make sharper pick'em bets. You can upload your own projections and do everything. Just use what is it? Is it smizzle.tv/bet? That's what that one is. Go do that. Go to smizzle.tv/bet. You get a discounted membership over at Unabated Sports, and you become a better, and shop for better bets and better prices as much as you want. Purdy or AR-15 for season long? AR-15 has the higher projection, so I'll go with him. I'm always going to take the one that's got the higher projection. It's also RM pack purchase day. Oh yeah, I got to get mine before it's pre-access, right? Is that Watson news true? I didn't see any Watson news. What was the Watson news? I don't like, it seems like it would be something that would be all over my timeline right now, and I don't see it. The only thing I see on my timeline is that Las Vegas police arrest man of suspicion of murder in the 1996 drive-by of Tupac Shakur. So that's all I see, is that they got the guy that killed Tupac. I don't see anything about anybody else. No football news right now. Yeah, don't play Tupac. Tupac's out this week. Says he's nursing a sore shoulder. Okay. Do I think Debo is hitting the field? I don't know. I'm not in that training room. I react to the news. I don't report the news. Here we go. Deshaun Watson did not throw again during the open portion of Friday's practice. He is nursing a sore shoulder. First of all, this is important during the open portion. That's key. Okay, that's key to assess. Look at the Justin reply. I saw it. Also, maybe the kid plays. We get more rushing upside with him anyway. He'd be super cheap. The Lions being 3-1 isn't on your timeline. Oh, dude. Yeah, the Lions fans are really making me not want to root for that team anymore. As much as I've rooted for that team. This week is hard to make lineups. You hate the pricing? Really? I think it's great. I like this week. I missed Frost, can you put in the mod channel? Because I missed who chat said was the running back and the wide receiver. So if you want to toss that in there. Kyron and Keenan? Okay. So then we'll get to the tight end one in a second. We'll take a look at what we have here. So I lined up Anthony Richardson. I understand that people may want to go a little bit cheaper. I just don't think that you have to. There's so much value on the board. Chat went as I expected with Kyron Williams for the Rams as their cash game running back. Tons of volume, tons of snaps, squaring off against Indy. At wide receiver, they went with Keenan Allen. It's a good choice. He's really solid. Cheat sheet day, yay. Yeah, it is cheat sheet day. Really solid play. Not expecting 20 targets. Am expecting double-digit targets for him. I'm interested that they went Keenan Allen over Josh Palmer, but whatever. I think both are very possible. And then tight end, let me see who they've got. Tight end, that one's not going to get caught. So they've got Freiermuth in at tight end. So here's your cash game core from chat. Anthony Richardson, Kyron Williams, Keenan Allen, Pat Freiermuth. I like it. That's a really solid. There's a lot of tight ends that are all kind of bunched this week. So Freiermuth is fine. If you're paying down, like it's that kind of a week, right? Freiermuth is fine. Ertz is fine. I think that you're going to see people try to get up to Kittle this week in cash because you can get, guys. I think I like Chigo Okonkwo too. 4 targets a game the last 2 weeks. They have to open something up. I think they're going to be playing from behind a little bit. I like Chig a lot this week. And if he's going to be low owned, I really like him in tournaments. So a lot of options this week. Cash game seems kind of, straightforward. We also have a situation with injuries. A lot of them this week. One of them that could change the face of everything is Deebo Samuel, who I like an awful lot. Going into this game, if he is healthy, absolutely love Deebo Samuel, right? But didn't practice on Thursday. We need him to practice on Friday. If he doesn't practice on Friday, anytime the 49ers have less toys in the locker to play with, it's better for us in fantasy because it means more consolidated usage. So it's going to do a couple of things. One, it's not going to move the line. It is going to move the amount of touches that somebody like Christian McCaffrey gets to being 25 opportunities locked, right? If it was a question, well, maybe they won't, but no, they're going to get him locked. Ayuk was a limited participant, but he was there. We have to see where that situation is, but that just means more assured targets with touchdown upside for Kittle. He could certainly be a separator at the position. Last week, 16 points, 7 of 9 with 90 against the Giants with Ayuk out. Like I said, anytime one of those guys is out at wide receiver, they look to pepper Kittle with more targets than they normally would. So absolutely love him in the case that he's out. So you could actually do some silly things, but look at this lineup right here. I think that the chalkiest defense of the week the underpriced defense, let's say, is the Browns going up against Baltimore. Just so much pressure. They're flying around out there. They're doing all sorts of crazy things. We know that Lamar has some possibilities to turn the ball over. We know that they're going to pressure the quarterback. We know that it's going to be kind of a low-scoring game. We know that Baltimore wants to play fast and drop back. All of those things do well for defenses playing at home that have a ridiculous pass rush. So that's leaving you, this lineup that y'all built is leaving you with 5,800 left, 23,000. There's certainly value at wide receiver. There's a lot, right? Josh Palmer is going to be in every cash game lineup. That's 4K. So that bumps this up. You have 19K for 3 spots off. I think CMC slides into this lineup in cash. I think that there's going to be another mid-range value wide receiver here, somebody like Tutu or Tank Dell or whatever, and then you open up to whatever you have in flex, probably a running back for cash this week because there's so many that are in that mid 5K range that you don't have to go stars and scrubs, and you can get like Keenan Allen, CMC. There's so much volume to plug into lineups. 2 wide receivers in cash, not a thing. No, that's why I said I think that Palmer is the play. Is Palmer and Allen too much in cash from the same team? No. Would I go Pittman or Downs with AR? I already answered that. They're both fine. I would go, it depends on what I'm trying to do with the rest of the lineup. So if you're single stacking with AR, and I do think that double stacking is a reality, right? I do think that double stacking with AR is, I'm opening it up where I did not open it up in week 1 or week 2. I'm going to probably open that up. Who's my NFL team? I don't have one anymore. So like Downs is still too cheap. Adams is underpriced. Yeah, he is. But Adams is basically only in play to me in cash if Jimmy plays. If there's no Jimmy, there's no Devontae in cash. I go a different way. Don't get spicy with me. AR is what you're hoping Fields would be. The Bears are a hot mess, like from top to bottom. I've said forever that, you know, everything is like a mountain and flows downhill. So if you have top of the mountain, everything underneath it is going to stink. And that's the Bears. And the quarterback gets way too much credit when a team wins and way too much blame when the team loses. And so everything's falling on Justin Fields, a man who has no offensive line, still has DJ Moore is really good, but still has not good wide receivers, has had awful coaching and game planning and everything that goes along with it. Terrible drafting. They traded a 2nd round pick for Chase Claypool. Like, he has been undercut at every single turn by that franchise. The Bears are a mess of a franchise. Javonte Williams this week in cash, not in cash. I think he's fine in tournaments. Not enough volume to play in cash with all of these other volume plays in that range. I should be the Bears GM. I'd love to do that. That'd be fun. But don't worry, I'm just a fantasy guy. I don't know ball, according to Twitter reply guys. Before the season started, who do I think would win their division? What division? I don't do that. I never look at that stuff. 3-1, by the way. Exactly. In season long, can you play Mostert and Achane in the same lineup? I would not. That's probably not a route that I'm going to go. Thielen or Dell? Man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one because there's a lot up in the air. I'm going to try and answer this, but I think that it's not an easy question. And that range is hard too, right? They're right at the same price. And then right next to him is Elijah Moore. Why are we not talking about this more? And no pun intended, but like, why are we not talking about the fact that he has 25 targets through 3 games? This is going to lead to something. This 9 targets a game is going to lead to something over time. It just is. It's just going to lead to something if he is that involved, especially against a team that has not performed well. Dell, against the pass. Dell, love the way he's playing. He's living on touchdowns right now. 14 points without the touchdown here, 22 without the touchdown here, and that touchdown was a 70-yard pass. I need to see him get more targets than this. I don't know if he's going to be able to get more targets than that consistently. I think he's a 6 to 8 target a game guy, which is fine at the price that he's at. But if he doesn't have a touchdown, don't complain in that offense where Thielen getting more volume, right? More predictable and projectable volume specifically, and also in case Miles Sanders is out. So looking at that matchup, I think I prefer Thielen this week, but I think Houston is fine. I think I prefer Thielen against this particular matchup, knowing that they can't stop anybody, knowing that there's a possibility that if Miles Sanders, who is not really practicing on Friday, could be a no-go, which would open up Chuba Hubbard at 4,800, who would probably get 15 to 18 opportunities in this game. He has done well in the past in those opportunities, but like 23 targets over the last 2 weeks for 4,500. And I don't see that changing. I kind of don't see that changing. And this is a game where Minnesota is not a defense that does a good job at stopping like just about anything. Is this another week to pay up for a top defense in tournaments? Seems like last 2 weeks winners paid up. No, last week the Bills won. Last week you had to have the Bills at 2,800. 2,800 is not paying up. Paying up to me on defense is 3,500 and above. Those are the expensive defenses, right? Those are the ones that are expensive. So like the 49ers at 4,700, the Eagles against Washington like 4,100. This defense is a whole bunch of monsters. Only 2 sacks a game, but they're getting so much pressure. And Washington is something that we want to attack every single week. Watson officially questionable for Sunday. I mean, everybody is questionable. Anybody who gets treatment is questionable. There's no more probable and doubtful. Everybody's questionable. So anybody who gets treatment is that. Dallas against New England. Maybe Grayson Allen, Mac Jones kicks somebody in the crotch and makes them feisty and angry. But big upside there as well. These are the expensive defenses. Is Kittle practically a wide receiver if Debo doesn't play? Ish. Yeah, he's in that range. You could look at him that way. I would say that he's a separator at the tight end position in general, but more specifically, anytime one of those 2 wide receivers is out. Ayuk out, Kittle's the separator. Ayuk and Samuel in with CMC, they use him more to block. That's just not his role in those games. Juwan Jennings might be out too. Yeah, a lot of injuries there in that wide receiver room. Eagles, Dolphins, Bills, Bears, Rams are projected top owned, and they're all 9 to 7%. Usually there's a defense that's like 15 to 20. If the Browns are under 10%, then the community's doing something wrong. The Browns should probably be 20% this week in the Millionaire Maker. That's kind of, if Jennings and Debo are out, do we give any consideration to Bell? Our showdown champion, Ronnie Bell, did it all for us a couple weeks ago on Showdown. That was great. I'm not talking about DJ. I can't say that. Browns at 19. Yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, I haven't looked at projection percentages for defenses yet, but like the Browns should be 20. That was just my guess. Wasn't Ronnie Bell part of New Edition? Yeah, Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. Favorite sub 4K wide receiver. All right, I'll do that, and then we'll get out of here. Favorite sub 4K wide receivers. Here's the guys that are low on the salary tree. If Marvin Mims Jr., if they let him run more than 10 routes a game, he might be a problem, but they're not. And until they do at 3,900, he is only a dart throw tournament play, but it's a good dart because, if you're a one-trick pony and that one trick is you catch 60-yard touchdowns, that's a good trick. So I like him in tournaments, but he's tough. He's tough to play. Renfro, no. I know that people are going to flock towards Quentin Johnson. I do see him getting an uptick in snaps and therefore an uptick in targets, but I'm not sure that he's somebody that we can hang our hat on for 6, 7, or 8 targets. He is a big body. He might catch a touchdown and blow that up, and people will be really reactionary. It's like imagine him having a 3-catch, 40-yard, 5-target, 2-touchdown day, and all the Quentin Johnson stands are like, dancing in the streets and saying how stupid everybody else was for not playing him when like you'd be on the luck side. I would prefer to be on the side of somebody who is running a lot more routes, getting a lot more targets, and certainly has juice in the open field like Josh Downs. And then the other one is down here at 3,300 and is Calvin Austin III, who is second on the Steelers the last 2 weeks with Deontay Johnson on IR in terms of snaps, routes run, and targets. And he had that nifty 72-yard scamper to the house last week for 15.2 fantasy points. At least he's out there. He's running a lot of routes, and he's got a nice soft matchup against Houston in their secondary this week. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate you guys. Make sure that you hop into Discord, become a channel member, and get access to the Week 4 cheat sheet. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.